guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. A lot of people have asked me about this one to rank the red zone bosses. Now, I have a lot of experience in the red zone, right? Like, I'm doing a lot of these attempts daily, making videos, taking different characters into various stages here in the red zone. So there is a lot to talk about. I do have these threads up here right here from Luca Dokkan, which will allow us to, sort of pull up the stats of these bosses if necessary, but a lot of the details and kits of these bosses I've just got memorized by this point, right? But if we have to take a look at, say, the raw numbers, I can pull that up right at any time. Yeah, there's Omega, right? There's Omega right there. Yeah, we did it like that. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and go over here. So the bottom fight is Legic. Legic is weak. It's a one-phase fight. He's AGL. It's just not tough at all. I feel like Legic might even be, I don't know, weaker than a God of Destruction boss or something. Like, it's just, Legic is just not a problem whatsoever. Next, I would say, is Turles. Turles is the first fight on the movie hero side of things. Turles just doesn't really feel too tough to me. Turles has 5, sort of minions, right, in the first fight. Even with, the 7th anniversary LRs and stuff like that, this fight often can go on for a little while against these 5 characters right here. So this can give you a chance to build up. Turles does stun. I mean, his SA damage gets up to 658,000, but Turles doesn't really seem too tough to me. Next is Lord Lude. Lude is, tougher for sure. He's only a 2-phase boss, though. He goes, I believe, from physical to STR. I just have never really experienced much difficulty with Lord Lude. He definitely has felt tougher than Turles, but not really anything too tough that I've found. Then Slug. Slug is a character who's caught me a couple of times. He seems even more powerful. Yeah, his SA damage gets up to 756,000, so Slug does feel pretty capable. He's tough, but this right here, this is just the warm-up. These 4 fights, while some of them might be, kind of tough or whatever, none of these are actually, super hard. These are just, sort of free fights. These 10 right here, these are sort of the actual red zone, right? So the first part of the anniversary is going to drop on global, and it's these 4 stages, which are nothing, right? Then for part 2 of the anniversary, they drop a couple more stages, right? I believe they drop Cooler, Android 13, Rildo, and Baby. And then at the end of the anniversary, they drop the final 6 stages. So next here, I would actually put Android 13. Android 13 can be a pretty tough boss. He does cancel dodging, which is really tough. I do think that dodging is the strongest thing you can do. Because if you dodge every hit, you cannot die, you cannot lose, right? So Android 13 canceling dodge is tough. But I really hate this decision. They made Android 13, his last 2 phases are both AGL. So for the most part, you can just load up on tech-type characters and bully him. Powerful tech characters can disintegrate this guy. There are incredibly strong tech characters in this game, too. So I don't really ever have difficulties with Android 13. He just does not really seem to be that tough of a boss. Next, right in front of him, I would actually put in Cooler. Even though Android 13 is the fight that technically comes after Cooler, I do think Cooler is more difficult. Cooler hits insanely hard in his final form. 350,000 is a lot. And then his SA damage is nearly 1 million, but this SA damage, he super attacks in the same spot always. It is a countdown super attack. So, that can help you there. These 3 right here, they can sometimes catch you with a little bit of damage. They're not really that bad compared to, say, Bojack's minions, who are really annoying, right? Cooler is just kind of a tough fight, right? You just want to be a little careful. His 350,000 damage he does. This physical final form Cooler really can catch a lot of units. I think he's actually pretty tough. Those 2 are strong. But then the next couple characters get much more difficult. Next, we would actually go with Rildo, right? Now, Rildo and a lot of these GT bosses start to become very difficult because they have, like, really nasty abilities, right? So, Rildo, I believe every form of Rildo, when he supers you, I believe he lowers your defense, which you guys know that can be a very devastating ability, him lowering your defense, because it, like, you know, really tanky characters could then really start to take a lot of damage. But the other thing that really makes Rildo tough is he begins to lock. In his final phase, Rildo can sometimes lock characters in your rotation. You guys know how difficult that is sometimes to overcome. You get a character locked, and, you know, there's just not really too much you could do once that happens. You know, again, character gets locked, you know, slot 1, Rildo super attacks, GG, you lost. So, like, once we start getting to these locking type characters, that's when I think some of these red zone fights start to get really tough. Again, I would say, like, there's kind of just, like, actual tiers, right? Like, the first 4 are kind of, like, together. The next couple are kind of together. Now, the next one, I actually was thinking about this, and I decided to put the Shadow Dragons right here at 7. Now, the Shadow Dragons, the reason I have them at 7, despite the fact that they're, you know, the reason I have them at 7, right, even though, like, Nova and Ice right here can do a lot of damage, right? Nova has, you know, 950,000 SA damage. Ice has 800,000 damage, including a lock. Ice does lock you. You know, this is the longest red zone fight by far. You have 6 enemies that all have very high HP pools, right? Even the first, like, look at, you know, maybe some of Bojack's minions right here. I guess they all have 10 million as well. But, like, these Shadow Dragons have a lot of health, and you're just in this fight for a very long time. But it's so long that stacking characters can be very effective here, right? And, you know, even though Ice does lock you, you could gum into this fight with the Universe 6 girls, and you can easily, like, no item sweep this within a try or two. Because you just have all the girls stacking up. You have Tech Kefla with her heal, right, you know, that you could pull out at any time. Physical Kefla stacking and dodging. This fight is just too long to be as tough, I think, as some of the other fights, right? Because it's like, you know, by the time you get to, like, this dragon right here, you would already be fighting, like, Grade 8 Baby, who's AoE attacking your entire rotation or something like that, right? So, the Shadow Dragons, while they are definitely a very difficult boss, it's so long that I actually think it makes it a bit easier than some of the other ones. But, I mean, a lot of times this is a 20-minute fight. You fight for 20 plus minutes, and then Ice locks you at the end and kills you. It's not fun. That's definitely not what I would consider great. Next, I would actually put Baby right here. So we have Baby at number 6. Baby, for a while, was actually the toughest fight in the game. I think Baby is ridiculous so let's pull him up. Baby is ridiculous. His Great Ape form is the problem. So, Baby stuns you. He has a 100% chance to stun when he supers you. So, you know, depending upon if he supers right away, that character might get, you know, prevented from even doing an attack, which definitely can be very problematic. But what makes Baby really, really nasty is this AoE ability of his. In the background, I definitely have a clip of Baby. I'm going to pull this up. Even if we continue on past the Baby section, I have a clip that I could pull up that I tweeted out like a month ago, where it's like you could Eternal start, and Baby could be doing 4 AoE attacks in slot 1. So basically every good character in the game nowadays is getting huge amounts of defense on super attack. Again, virtually every good character is getting major defense when they super attack. And Baby, if he just does 80 like AoE attacks right at the start, that can be very, very devastating. It can be very hard to sort of get through Baby when he's doing that. I think I'm close. Give me 1 second. I'll keep looking. I guess we'll just move on. But yeah, Baby could be really tough with these AoEs. One thing that does help, though, it is a long fight, right? You got these 4 fights that are all tough, but the last 2 phases are both int, so you could bring a lot of physical type units, and you will be very good with the physical type units, right? There is no STR phase in here. Maybe if this baby was STR, this fight would be a lot tougher, right? But he's not. He's only, it's double int. So that kind of gives you the ability to kind of get in here. Yeah, I've got it right here. Here's the clip I was talking about. So if we pause and take a look, Baby is doing, is that 3 AoEs? Just watch this clip. Like this is the Cell team, right? I think that's 3 AoEs he's doing right at the start right there. So it's just like, he just does this, and it's just like, you take so much damage. Like, dodging characters like Cell and UI Goku and stuff like that are so, like, see, like that dodge right there? Even Cell eating 50k right there. Like, that's AGL Cell? AGL Cell? It's one of the strongest units in the game. This is what this Baby fight looks like. This is turn 11, right? So again, you get to, like, turn 11, and Baby is just slapping you up with a million AoE attacks like that. That could be very rough. That's why Baby, like, I have him above the Shadow Dragons, despite the fact that this is stage 6 of the GT Red Zone, and this is only stage, 4 of the GT Red Zone. I think Baby is tougher. Baby is a tremendously difficult fight. Next, we have Super 17 here. Super 17, I would probably put above Janemba in terms of difficulty, if it wasn't just 2 phases. This is the thing about this Super 17 fight right here, is you can just load up on AGL units, and that helps you out a lot. You can't do that against Janemba, right? Where it's like, you completely load up against STR units, and, oh, I've won. It doesn't, no, that's not going to work. But that does sort of work here against Super 17, where, you know, the 2 17s are definitely tough. I mean, yeah, dude, their super attack damage is 600,000, very high. But it's not like you can't make it through them. And then once you get the Super 17, he does a lot of damage, but it's just a 1-phase fight once you get to Super 17, right? The other thing I should point out here too, is that Super 17 does absorb Ki Blast super attacks. So he doesn't block them, he takes the HP from them. So that does make him particularly difficult. He is probably the best counter against the 7-year anniversary LRs. One reason they're so insanely OP is you get their active skill super attacks off when either the enemy's below 50% HP or you're below 50% HP. And then you're doing, like, actually just like 10 million damage guaranteed crit, and then they guaranteed crit for the rest of the turn. But Super 17 absorbs those, so you can't use them. LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku's active skill is a key-based super that 17 would just absorb, right? So that adds an extra layer of difficulty to this guy. You can't rely on Ki Blast characters to defeat him, which, again, definitely makes him tough. Next, I'd put Janemba. There's not, like, whereas a lot of these other bosses have got all these crazy gimmicks and all this shit going on, Janemba's pretty much just tough. Like, that's all Janemba has. Again, 350,000 attack when he's in his rage mode. He's doing over 1 million damage with his super attack as well. He's just hard. The reason I would put him above Super 17, despite the fact that Super 17 has that tough gimmick, is because of the fact that you go from tech to int to physical. So you're not just loading up on STR units and winning. You can easily just load up on AGL units against Super 17 and beat them. But with 3 phases here, that does not work against Janemba. And Janemba hits very hard. He does only have 2 health bars, though. Right, that's one thing to keep in mind. Fat Janemba has a health bar, and then these guys have a shared pool of health. 50 million right there. What is, Super 17 has 39 million health, and Janemba's got 50 million. Yeah. So Janemba's got an extra 11 million health, which is quite a lot. Tough fight, but he's just tough, right? Not really too much of a gimmick to talk about. He can dodge you, but I've never had that. The boss that I've lost to from them dodging is Omega. Omega dodges, and he's a really big prick about it. But I've not lost, I don't think, to Janemba dodging. Okay, the top 3, like, Janemba's tough. The Super 17 is tough. The top 3 are on a different tier completely. Next, we have Bojack. I would actually put Bojack at third. I was it was tough. We could just fill in the last couple of slots now. Broly is the hardest fight in the game, obviously. Omega at 2, and then I would put Bojack at 3. The thing about Bojack here, I'm just going to pull up all 3 of these characters right there. So let's get you up. Let's get Bojack up, and then let's get Broly up. So you, let's get there like that. Okay. Bojack. The thing about Bojack, his first phase, you might think that, like, oh, these fodder characters, like, you just disintegrate. I mean, they're all doing 500k damage per super, man. Like, it's not free, right? Like, dude, the amount of runs, I have 10 plus clips of LR Namek Goku, everyone's darling, getting humbled by Gokua and Bujin and Beto repeatedly. Just destroying Namek Goku, right? Because Namek Goku has a huge fatal flaw. His defense is shit turn 1, right? But here's the thing. Most characters are not able to match up with how strong all 4. The 17s are tough as well, but there's 4. You could eat 4 super attacks, dude. It's a lot dealing with all 4 of these guys when they're all doing 500k. This is where the 7th anniversary LRs can really come in clutch, where they have their first turn guard. Dodging characters are exquisite in this fight as well, right? To help you sort of get set up against these guys. Then you get to Bojack, and Bojack is already dropping 850,000, and then his final phase, where he's basically at 1 million, but then he guaranteed seals and locks every single turn. It's just so oppressive. Again, I've already mentioned in this video how basically every good unit is getting major defense when they super attack. Bojack locks a lot of the best characters down like that. And then the actual lock makes it very difficult to bring AGL characters into this. Unless it's like AGL UI Goku or Jacko, it is very tough to bring AGL characters here, because he'll just lock them in slot 1 and you lost. You guys know how it goes. If you bring one AGL unit on the team, that is the character Bojack will lock and then super. That's how it goes, man. Bojack is tough. This is a really tough fight. Again, because you can get lulled to sleep by these. I've been on turn 7 against these 4 before, right? They can be very annoying, very tough, very problematic, having to deal with these 4 bosses right here on the left side. Gokua, Zangia, Bujin, Beto. They are just very annoying. And again, Bojack with his lock and his seal mechanic. I don't know what it is. There's definitely no number around this, but I have never seen a boss super attack the 3rd slot of the rotation more than this guy, right? This Bojack in particular, talking about Namek Goku, I've got another 5+ clips of this Bojack killing Namek Goku, and then the Resurrection F Blue, Goku, and Vegeta. He bullied, on my Goku and Gohan no item attempts when I was using Namek Goku, and then the Resurrection F Blue attempts when I was using them. This Bojack ended at least 5+ runs of supering those characters in slot 3, right? And it's like, those characters are good, but with the damage Bojack shoots out, like, they're taking, 600k, 500k from his super attack. It's just, Bojack is very, very difficult. I already filled in the next slots. Now, even though Omega is not as bad as Bojack as you get deeper into the fight, because the final phase of Omega is right here, right? He does a countdown super attack, so you always know where his super attack is, which really helps the fight out. The problem is his attack. You need, 550k defense as a super class unit to double-digit tank him or something? Like, it's just insane. The amount of defense you need to actually, this guy actually just raw power overwhelms you. That's it. And then his super attack is pretty much unguardable outside of characters like Tech Ultimate Gohan, Rakumen Goldo, right? Something like that. You're just not tanking this, right? Keep in mind that even, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is going to take, 200k plus damage from this super attack of Omega, right? It's very vicious. But again, it's just raw power is why this guy is so hard, because he doesn't really have anything nasty in his final phase besides I have lost to him dodging. Again, Janemba has a higher dodge chance, but I haven't lost to Janemba dodging. I have lost to Omega dodging. Now, Omega's first phase right here is very tough, and he can lock and seal you. You know, it could be very problematic, but the thing about the first phase here, and then, you know, skipping ahead, the first phase of Broly as well, both of these bosses can be stunned and sealed, right? And you can attack. So, Omega right here, you know, let's take Raccoon and Goldo. They come in, they super attack, and they lower his attack, they steal him, and they stun him, right? So that allows you to sort of get, like a footing. You know, a very powerful physical unit, for example, because his final phase is in, so you want to be running physical units. Physical Super Saiyan 3 Goku, right? Stuns on super attack. So he could easily stun this first phase, help you get set up, and then you could win. AGL Jacko is another great character for this fight, right? Who's able to dodge like crazy. AGL Jacko would have type advantage for the second phase, and he could stun this first phase right here, which could be very helpful. Another reason Omega is so hard, and why, like, you know, Omega and, like, Broly are tougher, well, mainly Omega. Omega probably has the nastiest type coverage of any boss. Yeah, he definitely does. That's another thing that makes Omega so hard, is his type coverage, right? Because this guy hits so hard, you have to be having powerful physical units. But then you have the second phase. He's doing 340,000 damage, and he's STR. So your physical units get mollywopped. In my experience, Super Saiyan 3 Goku can't tank this guy unless he's transformed into Super Saiyan 3 and he does multiple super attacks, right? It can be very problematic. Like this Sin hits so hard. So this fight is it's just very tough. It's very tough. It's very, very hard. Then we get to the final fight. Broly is the hardest fight in the game by far. You cannot dodge. No one can convince me that Scouter is better than dodging, right? You get Scouter against AoE Broly, and all you do is foresee your death, and there's no counterplay, right? If you could dodge this fight would be tough. Would Omega be harder if you could dodge Broly? Maybe. Probably not, because Broly would probably still be the toughest fight, right? Even because this is an AoE phase. He's doing 840,000 damage AoE. Like, it's like, come on, man. This is the gatekeeper phase for Broly. If you want to beat Broly, you have to have a strategy for this. You can't, you have to. If you're just, like, you know, a global free-to-play player watching this, like, trying to devise a strategy to win, the best thing you could probably do would be to double Whis during this phase. And then just try and blitz this Broly as fast as possible. But this is why this fight is so tough. You're then left with AGL Broly, who does 400,000 damage per normal. He does 1.2 million damage on a super attack, but he has a 20% chance to super, and he does it twice per turn. It is just so... Dokkan... I feel like Dokkan has never had more unfair set than this. You go from the AoE phase right into this dude who double supers for 1.2 million damage. There's just a lot of times nothing you can do. I've had many runs die because he supers slot 1 and slot 3 with this. What do you do? Like, there's nothing. Like, a lot of times this Broly just kills you, and you can't actually do anything about it for real. Because you have one item, and a lot of times you have to expend that item to survive the AoE attack. Like, you can't just eat 840k damage to all 3 characters and just be like, oh, I'm good. We lived. Right? The 7th anniversary LRs are not able to do that. They're not. Because the gods rely on dodge. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta can get damage reduction with Rainbow Orbs, but guess what? He's physical. Right? And you can't dodge Broly. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, that means he can't counter Broly either. Right? That's one of Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's strengths, is that he has the super attack counter, but not against Broly. So, Broly is just... they just made this fight so unfair. It's crazy. It's just this setup here is just really nasty. And they have type coverage against the AoE phase with the tech phase right here. Because it's like, you know, you can survive the AoE if you've got a lot of AGL units. But then this bad boy is right there. He hits hard. So, Let me know what you guys think. Broly's definitely the toughest fight in the game. The top 3 are on a tier to themselves. If I had to split this up into tiers, I would probably say the top 3 are in a tier. I would say Super 17 is in a tier probably down to Rildo, I would say. Maybe. Like this is probably like a tier. And then I feel like I would almost say Cooler and 13 are maybe their own tier. And then this is another tier down here. But yeah, this I'm definitely confident with this listing. Janemba really tough, but he just hits hard. Super 17 is really tough, but you know he's just basically got the 2 phases. Baby is really, really tough, but you know you could just go in with a lot of physical units, and there's no STR phase there for him to sort of bully you there. The Shadow Dragons are very hard, but it's just so long you could stack up, right? So here, let me turn down the zoom here. So there is the completed list. Now it's very small, but let me know what you guys think of the toughest Red Zone bosses. Get your strategies in now, because these boys are very, very tough to beat.